breaking news. We can roll it because, wow, Woj has since tweeted Dallas finalizing a trade to acquire Kristaps Porzingis. The New York Times' Mark Stein, look at these details. He's got Hardaway and Courtney Lee are going to go with Porzingis to Dallas. Dallas is sending, according to Mark Stein, DeAndre Jordan, Wes Matthews, and Dennis Smith Jr. Ramona, how did we get here from waking up this morning when Kristaps Porzingis was the unicorn future of the Knicks to this?
Well, I think this is sort of a I'm going to break up with you before you break up with me situation, right? So his name has been out there quite a bit in trade discussions with the Knicks, especially with Anthony Davis in there. And he's obviously not playing right now. He's going to be out most of this year, if not the whole year. And I think this has been brewing for quite some time, his dissatisfaction with the Knicks. But we're getting up on the trade deadline, and if you're going to have some determination or self-determination about where your future might be, this is when you have that meeting.
Okay, but it's a long way to go from I have some dissatisfaction, as Tracy pointed out. He hasn't even been with the team. I mean,
so you were sitting with me in the makeup chair this morning,
I was this morning when some of this was developing.
And it was interesting.
By the way, being around Ramona when her phone rings, and I have now done this in restaurants and cities around the country, is one of the most fun things because her phone rings and it's like, could be anyone, could be anything. And today it was like, oh, by the way, Kristaps Porzingis is about to get traded. And here we are live on the jump, and it happened during the show.
So I think this was, they've obviously had conversations about Dennis Smith Jr. For a while now in the Knicks.
Since they didn't draft him, since then.
That's right. and those conversations can very quickly expand. But the idea of trading Porzingis is not new. The question is when he walks in there and says, "I would like to be traded," then you have to make that. You have to go into here's the teams that we've called. Here are the list of teams that we know are interested. Here's what we can get back. And I think these exploratory conversations and frameworks of deals have been in the works for a long time. The question, what changes today? He goes in and says, I don't want to be here.
I don't want to be here.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. So you make this deal not even knowing what Kristaps Porzingis is wanting to do because he's a restricted free agent, right? So you make this deal.
If you're Dallas.
If you're Dallas, why though?
Well, we know Mark Cuban, and we know he's supremely confident. So Cuban and Rick Carlisle clearly decided, okay, we know we're taking a risk in terms of we don't know his health yet. But think about this. They are that much closer to their own super team if we're talking about big threes, right? Because you've got Doncic, you're going to have Porzingis, if healthy, and Tracy and I are a little skeptical. And you still got a lottery pick. One of the things the Mavericks wanted to do, I've been told, and I'm sure you have been too, they knew they looked at the Western Conference top 8 teams, knew they couldn't beat any of them. So therefore, you go back in the lottery, particularly if you're near the top.
They owe their pick to Atlanta, though, don't they? It's slightly protected.
Do they have any pick?
It's protected, right?
It's slightly protected.
Slightly protected,
All right, so if they wind up with a pick, but they've got 2/3 of it.
Yeah. Yes, and look, their timeline is different, right? So when you've got Luka, your timeline is woo, right? You have a year to have Kristaps get healthy, right? It's really, really interesting
to me
that this came together so fast.
What do the Knicks get out of
DeAndre Jordan, Dennis Smith Jr., Wesley Matthews.
Does it improve the team substantially, Tracy?
It improves your chances of getting Zion Williamson.
Yeah. I think you also have to look, when you make one trade, you're also not making other trades. And so they've had a pretty good sense of what the market for Porzingis would be for the past few months. I think this is not new that they have discussed with other people what the market would be, and any general manager would do that. But I think what the big thing we've all been talking about this week is Anthony Davis.
Right.
Well, by making this trade, they're obviously not including him in a trade or an offer, a proposal for New Orleans. My understanding is that was discussed, but New Orleans did not have interest.
Yeah, I mean, if New Orleans isn't interested in him, then you move on. Do you expect the Knicks to turn around and any of these pieces they picked up today to then use before February 7th to make another deal?
Ooh, that'd be a quick turn.
Right.
But
I don't remember what the rules are on like 1-for-1s versus package deals, but
but essentially you pick up a lottery pick in Dennis Smith Jr., who has lost his job to Luka Doncic and doesn't really have a future in Dallas. But this is a nice pickup here for the Knicks because, as you said, Mike, they didn't draft him and they probably should have.
And DeAndre has 1 year left on his deal.
This is his only. It was a 1 year deal, right? Or 1 year plus an option.
Yeah. And so I think what it does is I have to study some of the math here, but they still do need to clear some salary cap space to have a max spot open this summer when we have the free agencies of Kawhi Leonard and Kevin Durant, who've obviously been linked to the Knicks. And I think this, if off the top of my head, I think this does help them get a little further along.
So, but this is a great question to me, though, because it might clear up some room for, say, a Kevin Durant. If you're Kevin Durant, the attraction of coming to play in New York, yes, you still have the Garden and the idea of reviving that franchise and being the guy that they finally win another championship with, but that was a lot more attractive with a unicorn on board.
So now it becomes...
Is this an attractive place to go if you're a free agent this
I
summer?
got to have a conversation with other free agents. A second guy in order for me to go and play with the Knicks versus, it's very attractive because they got Kristaps there and, you know.
But Porzingis is coming off of an ACL injury. He has a long injury history. And if you're the Knicks and you're thinking about dealing him, who knows his injury history better than the Knicks?
Right. Well, this might be an indication of that.
Let me just go immediately for the Knicks, though. This team now with DeAndre Jordan and Dennis Smith, they're not going to lose every game. The Knicks were bad enough without Porzingis to lose every game and be in the Zion and Wesley Matthews, be in the Zion Williamson sweepstakes. Trust me, I watch this every day following being a fan of the Chicago Bulls. This takes the Knicks, to me, out of that equation.
This is why I'm
They're
asking,
not
do you think they're going to turn around and deal? Do you think they would turn around and make another deal? Because having these guys...
You mean to ship these guys out so they can be supremely awful and get back in the Zion Williamson sweepstakes?
I'm just saying that I would, if I'm the Knicks, my #1 goal from this point of the season on would be to have as good a chance as possible at landing that #1 pick. That would be a game changer for that franchise. That man, Zion Williamson, in that building, an MSG. I mean, I don't know if they could sell more tickets than they already do. The merchandise is already high, but still, I'm sorry. I mean, the chances of that, we haven't seen a player enter the draft at this potential #1 in a very long time. If I were the Knicks, would not jeopardize that. I know the lottery odds are flatter. It's not 25% for the top last place
you got to be one of the bottom
14%, but you got to be one of the bottom 3.
They just took themselves out of that, in my thinking.
So you think that this was a mistake?
This now goes back between Cleveland, Atlanta, Chicago, and maybe Phoenix, and the Knicks just lift themselves out. DeAndre Jordan and Dennis, they're not going somewhere to tank.